Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SchuZ Show. Hope you guys are all having an amazing Thursday night. With that being said, though, let's get into it and have a good boxing show today, all right? So, no guests are on today's show, nor will there be any guests on tomorrow's show, as I talked about. This week, in all essence, is kind of an off week for boxing. Well, we don't have any fights booked for this weekend for the most part. There's something going down in Libya tomorrow, but not really a massive deal there. But we don't have a lot of boxing going on right now. Not a lot of boxing news either, but there are some things I want to get into. So, do expect a pretty short show today and tomorrow as well. But if you guys want to keep it a little bit longer, make sure to go put some stuff into the chat. We can go back and forth, discuss some stuff in there. So keep the chat active tonight, and I'll be discussing everything that goes down in the chat today. You guys' comments will pop up on the screen. So make sure to tune in for that. But with that being said, let's get into some outlines for today's show is going to look like. Keyshawn Davis was on the Jarrell Miller show, and I'm going to break down some of his discussions there. Also, Teofimo Lopez going back with Shakur Stevenson. Got some back and forth going there, as well as Richardson Hitchins, so we'll be talking about that one. Then the light heavyweight dilemma, what's going on there? Manny Pacquiao and his potential return coming up in the near future and who he could be fighting. And then I'll wrap today's show discussing the breaking news that came out in regards to Jarrell Miller and Jared Anderson. Obviously, that fight might now no longer be on the table, so we will see what all unfolds there. But with that being said, let's hop right into today's show and get into these topics. So, first things first, let's head over into Keyshawn Davis. So, Keyshawn Davis is somebody that I was quite high on. And I'll be honest with you guys right now, I still believe that Keyshawn Davis will return. I think Keyshawn Davis will still become a world champion again. I think he still has a bright future. But when you behave and you act and you carry out business the way in which Keyshawn Davis did, there are repercussions that come with that. And I think we have to realize this. It was not going to be smooth sailing following his disastrous weekend a couple of months ago. And this is now the position he's got himself placed into. Now, I will give him props. On the Jarrell Miller show, he made it very clear that he apologized. He was sincere, seemed to be about that. But he also said this. He has not done any boxing training in the 2 months since missing weight for his world title fight and being stripped of his WBO lightweight belt. Keyshawn said he does not expect to fight again for 12 months. Now, whether that actually is on the dot 12 months or longer, who knows? But here's the deal. When it comes to Keyshawn Davis, this is a man that still has a bright future. In terms of God-given ability, he certainly has the full package in that aspect. The biggest thing that he's got holding himself back is honestly himself. That's the only thing that's held Keyshawn Davis back to this point in time. His issues, both from a mental standpoint, outside of the ring, everything. When he steps foot in that ring, he's a problem. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So for Keyshawn Davis, you have all the skills. You have the God-given ability. His biggest issue is how does he make sure he controls himself and gets himself into that ring to actually fight. And he did not do that a couple months back. And he's now put himself in a very tough predicament. Where does Keyshawn Davis possibly go from here? As he said, he might be outside of the ring for about 12 months. And if that happens, it is what it is. At the end of the day, what he did to top rank, what he did to his fan base in Norfolk, Virginia, was disastrous. It was disrespectful. And there always was going to be repercussions that came from what he did. And I think he deserves those. There's time and place for grace, absolutely. But when you do what he did to the extent in which he did it, there was always going to be repercussions, and I think that he deserves that. My biggest thing is, does he take this next year of life and make sure that he invests in himself and gets himself right up here so that he can go perform and do his job inside the ring? Because if Keyshawn Davis can take this year off and mature, can grow, develop as a man, as a person, and get back into that ring whenever that fight comes to be, he will be a tremendous fighter and have a great career. And I do believe Keyshawn Davis will bounce back. Let me make that very clear. He is going to be back. I think he will be a world champion once again in the future. But he must make sure that everything checks out up top. And if this is set in place, I think the rest of things will take care of itself. Some back and forth going on in the boxing world between Teofimo Lopez and who he could be fighting next. And it appears these are the two options. Richardson Hitchins or Shakur Stevenson. When I look at those two fights, I'm quite intrigued by them. Now, Teofimo Lopez had a great fight with Devin Haney lined up. He should have taken that fight. I've been very, very outspoken about that. However, he made some weird outbursts and whatever was going on during that time span. And now he's in a position where he does not have a fight lined up. The two names is Richardson Hitchins and Shakur Stevenson. And when I hear those two names, I'm intrigued by both of them. The Hitchins one, from a unification standpoint, would be intriguing. And I do think Teofimo Lopez would win that fight. I think he's the more talented all-around fighter there. Hitchins is very good. I loved his performance against Kambosos, but still, Hitchins has not fought anybody near the caliber of Teofimo Lopez yet. I feel like Teofimo Lopez has all the advantages in the world in that fight. Now, the other one's Shakur Stevenson. But before I address that one, I will say this. It is a puzzling situation for Teofimo Lopez. He was supposedly moving up to 147. That seems to have fallen apart now. I'm not exactly sure why, but he now appears to be setting himself up in for position to be fighting for somewhere at 140 again. Because if Shakur Stevenson fights him, that would be at 140. Likewise with Richardson Hitchins. If I were to pick my choosing between those two options, I would take Shakur Stevenson. And let me make this clear. I'm well aware a lot of people out there will say, we do not want to watch Teofimo Lopez Shakur Stevenson fight. Well, then don't watch it. Because as a boxing fan, that would be beautiful boxing. Two of the most skilled top 15 fighters, I'd say, in all the world would be fighting each other right there, pound for pound. Shakur is top 10 in my opinion. Teo is in that top 15-ish range. Those two guys stepping foot in the ring would be a technical matchup, a very, very sound matchup. And in my opinion, as someone that likes to watch the technicality aspect of boxing, I would be very intrigued by that fight. I think we would be in for a very interesting fight right there. And just imagine this potential right here. The winner of that fight would boost the stock tremendously. Shakur Stevenson's already trending in a exponentially, Shakur Stevenson's career trajectory just skyrocketed. But if we're looking at specifically for Teofimo Lopez, that's how you get back on the map. He is obviously a great name. He has a good resume, but what he's done outside of the ring has not been very good. Inside the ring, he took care of business at Times Square. What was it now? 3 months back. But getting and winning a Shakur Stevenson would elevate him massively. And for Shakur Stevenson, only would elevate his name even more as well. You're talking about a situation where he walks up into that ring at 140, becomes world champion at 140 as well. This would be huge. So I think both guys, the winner of that fight would come out tremendous. I think both guys need to make that fight. I think it would be beneficial for both guys. And if I were to be the matchmaker here, Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson, book that fight. If it ends up falling back and it's Richardson Hitchins, nothing against that issue as well. I think both those guys would be great matchups there. Now, I want to take some time right now and delve into the light heavyweight issue. Before I actually go into the problem at hand, I wanted to explain Artur Beterbiev. He came out and made a statement on the Dmitry Bivol trilogy and said this exact quote. It's a little bit extensive, but I'm going to read it all for you guys. Our next fight was supposed to take place in Russia. You know what we're talking about now. The third fight with Dmitry Bivol. We were offered great conditions, which were almost impossible to refuse. For my part, I did everything to make the third fight happen, but my opponent chose the path of retreat again. I've waited long enough and I don't intend to wait any longer. Sitting around doing nothing while someone else is resting is too much. See you on November 22nd in Riyadh. I'm continuing my journey no matter what. All props to Artur Beterbiev here. And at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, and I do love watching Dmitry Bivol fight. I'm always going to give him his flowers. Artur Beterbiev is almost 41 years old. This man wants to stay active. He's not just holding out for the bag or holding out for Dmitry Bivol, who is trying to age out Artur Beterbiev. And all the people going out there making those excuses about him trying to rest. Listen, there's a time and a place for that. Artur Beterbiev didn't take any rest when he could have utilized that as well. So let's stop that bogus talk right there. And people that want to say he's already given him 2 fights, yeah, they have had 2 fights. And the record's 1-1. This is not 2-0 or 1-0-1. This is 1-1 in the record. There is no excuse for Dmitry Bivol to be doing what he's doing right now, and I'm going to stand firm on that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, for Artur Beterbiev, much props to this man. Almost 41 years old, going to be going out there, fighting once again, putting his name back on the map, and saying, guess what? My opponent's ducking me right now. I'll go out there, I'm going to stay active, I'm going to fight, and I'm going to continue to go forward. And as I've said for Dion Nicholson, good luck in that ring that night. I don't think it's going to go end pretty well for yourself, but best of luck. And if you are Artur Beterbiev, massive statement. I feel like a lot of boxing fans are getting behind him or rallying behind him now in the sense of saying, guess what? We have great respect for this man. You're almost 41 years old. You're taking a fight to stay active. Won't be a main event. And you're going to be fighting when Dmitry Bivol, who's much younger than you, in his prime, wants to go out there and duck you. Much props to Artur Beterbiev. But here's the big issue with the light heavyweight division. What Dmitry Bivol is doing right now to Artur Beterbiev, to begin with, is messed up. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. What he's doing is messed up. But there's massive ripple effects going on in the light heavyweight division because of what Dmitry Bivol is doing. What should be the case right now is that Dmitry Bivol Artur Beterbiev trilogy happens before this year ends. That would have been in the November 22nd card. That trilogy has been historic, it's been incredible, and that would have mapped and ended what has been a phenomenal trilogy. Every true boxing fan has truly adored and loved and embraced that trilogy. And that trilogy should have come to a conclusion. 1-1, ultimate winner, and then the guys move their own separate ways. That should have been done in 2025. And the reason I say that is because David Benavidez is now in light heavyweight. This man is more than deserving of a shot for a world championship, or ultimately what I should say is undisputed. He's going to be ready. Now he has to get past Anthony Yarde, but I think he will take care of business there. And if he does so, then what happens? The trilogy still has to happen, and that's going to now have to happen in 2026, meaning Dmitry Bivol will be outside of the ring in his prime for an entire year or more, and Artur Beterbiev will be in a situation where who knows when this fight's going to happen. But the trilogy, I have to imagine, will take first priority, and it should. But then what does David Benavidez do? Because Dmitry Bivol could very well pull another one of these year excuses or whatever it might be and stay outside of the ring for a long time. So when does David Benavidez get his big fight then? That's the big problem at hand right now for the light heavyweight division. What Dmitry Bivol is doing right now is he's causing a massive issue in the light heavyweight division. It's making a logjam now. Where if David Benavidez wins against Anthony Yarde, both he and Beterbiev deserve that fight with Bivol. And I have to imagine Beterbiev will get the first priority, Benavidez second priority. But still, what happens? Now, I would not be shocked and could possibly even see a Benavidez versus Beterbiev fight happen now, because who knows how long Bivol wants to take out. From all we know, Bivol does not want to fight right now. That's all we know. Beterbiev wants to fight. We know Benavidez wanted that fight. Bivol's sitting back, resting, doing who knows what right now. So who knows if that's going to happen. And if Benavidez with Beterbiev happens, that'd be a phenomenal fight. And it might be the best thing that we could possibly make anyways. Because when we look at Beterbiev, this is a man that's on a ticking time bomb right now. His career only has X amount of time remaining until he must retire. He doesn't have much time left. He's going to make the most of it. That's the way his mentality is. And whatever Bivol does is only making a massive logjam at light heavyweight. And that's the big problem here. Who knows what's going to happen? But we can all thank this massive logjam and this issue at light heavyweight to Dmitry Bivol. It is what it is. And like I said, I hate that I have to go rip into Dmitry Bivol right now. I love watching him fight. He's one of the most entertaining fighters in all boxing right now. Top 5 pound-for-pound fighter, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best light heavyweights we've ever seen, so on and so forth. He is phenomenal. But what he's doing right now is messed up, and it's going to have a massive ripple effect. Let's head on into a couple more things before I wrap today's show. Manny Pacquiao has announced that he will be back in the ring in December. Some names floating out there are Gervonta Davis, Rolly Romero, and Mario Barrios rematch. Pacquiao has also expressed interest in a rematch with Floyd Mayweather. All options make sense. Listen, I would just say this. The fact that we are in a position where Manny Pacquiao, his age, is now an active fighter again is remarkable. I don't think anybody saw it coming, and I was very much so against it in the very beginning, and ultimately I'll still say this. I don't think he should be in the ring. I don't think he has to be in the ring. This is a man that's a legend. He's an all-time great. He's already a Hall of Famer. He doesn't need to keep fighting. He should have the money more than secured. But here he is. He survived Mario Barrios. He looked fine. Now he's going to continue to compete, and it's going to be a massive moneymaker. So who does he possibly fight? Listen, the biggest moneymaker in there is Floyd Mayweather. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. Tank Davis is a close second. But Tank Davis, that whole situation right there is bizarre. Who knows what's going to happen with him from a legal standpoint? Who knows what's going to happen to him with the Lamont Roach rematch? So many things are on the table right now with that situation, so I'm not counting on that. So it's really coming down to Rolly Romero, Barrios, or Floyd. No legitimate rumors from Floyd's camp has come out yet, so I'm not too sure on that one. And so when you look at it, Rolly Romero and Barrios make the most sense. We'll see what's unfolding there. I think the Mario Barrios fight rematch should happen because, listen, it's a path for Manny Pacquiao to become world champion. I think he won that first fight. Why not run it back and see if you can actually become the oldest world champion in the welterweight division in boxing history? The final thing I want to touch up on today's show, let me see if there's any comments in the chat right now. If you guys have any comments, make sure to put it in the chat, and I will address it with you guys as well, by the way. Jarrell Miller claims that Jared Anderson has officially pulled out of their fight. This fight was reportedly in the works to be on the Canelo vs. Crawford undercard. Disappointing. Now, it's not confirmed by Turkey, and Turkey seems to have a lot of money where it could make something happen. But when I look at this fight, it's disappointing. Extremely disappointing. For big baby Jarrell Miller, he doesn't necessarily need this fight. He's on the tail end of his career. I don't think he's ever going to get a world championship shot or anything along those lines. He should have fought Fabio Wardley. He messed up that opportunity. But he's just kind of ending his career right now. But he still has a good name and a solid fighter. That's why I've always said this was perfectly tailored for Jared Anderson to make a massive statement in the boxing scene at the heavyweight division. If Jared Anderson actually withdraws from his fight with Big Baby, there's a big problem there. Because Jared Anderson is a very young heavyweight. And he needs opportunities. When you come to a domestic fights in America at the heavyweight division, your options are extremely limited. And it's time now. 1 year removed from the Marlon Bucoli fight. It is what it is. He took that big gamble. I think it was smart of him. I think it worked out in terms of growing his name. We saw he has some guts. Went in that ring and was fine for a young dude. Obviously got beat down by Bucoli, but still, it is what it is. Move on. This was the perfect building yourself up fight. Jarrell Miller is not a Martin Bucoli by any stretch of the imagination. Bucoli is leaps and bounds better than Jarrell Miller. This was a fight that he could have won. This was a fight that could have put him back on the map, given him a big confidence boost, and been massive for the young heavyweight. But if Jared Anderson's backing up and out of this fight, where does he go from here? That's the big problem. If you're Jared Anderson, you had this big opportunity to fight Jarrell Miller. It fell right into your laps on a massive stage, on a Riyadh season turkey card, whatever you want to call it. And then on top of that, you have this opportunity to go out there and fight a domestic man. On the biggest stage in all the world, on Netflix, you could have fought Jarrell Miller. That would have boosted your stock tremendously. And if you would have won that fight, all of a sudden you're back in the top 15, 10 names in heavyweight. And you would have had a significant win on your resume. You would have been officially the big baby. And you would have put yourself in position to continue to build yourself up at your age now. But all that stuff disappears now if he's not going to step foot in that ring. So it is very disappointing. I like Jared Anderson. I think he has skills, he has talent, but I don't know what he's doing from a management standpoint. And the biggest question surrounding Jared Anderson has always been this. Does he really love boxing? And that's something I don't always know. Because if you love boxing, this is a fight that you do not turn down whatsoever. I know the paycheck was fine, and I know the opportunity was fine, so why would you not take the fight? If you're Jared Anderson, when you're looking at the American heavyweight scene, you are one of the few names that people look forward to and say, okay, he may be the next guy. Now, I don't think America has that guy. I do like Joshua Edwards right now, under 25, but it's him, Richard Torres Jr., Jared Anderson. And Jared Anderson simply does not seem to want to be taking these fights. And I don't know what's going on with the management standpoint from him. I don't know what's going on with him and his team. Whatever it is, things have to get situated quickly so that Jared Anderson can get actually back on track. Because what's happening right now to his career is a disaster. It's massively impacting his career. It's being detrimental, to be honest. So hopefully things get set in place. Hopefully Turkey can make this fight happen because, listen, this is too big of an opportunity for Jared Anderson to turn down. He needs this fight, and I hope he gets the fight and they get it made. We'll see what ends up unfolding there, but that's the news that came out according to Jarrell Miller, saying that he claims Jared Anderson has officially withdrawn and pulled out of their fight. Only time will tell, though. With that being said, I don't see any more comments in the chat. If you guys have any topics for me to discuss, make sure to put in the chat, and we can go back and forth. Your comment will always pull up on the screen, so you guys can go out there and see it as well. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys all for tuning in to tonight's show. I will be back live briefly tomorrow afternoon. I'm not exactly sure on the time, but probably about 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'll be back live, so you guys can check out that show as well. It'll be a pretty brief show, once again, just because there's not a lot to talk about in boxing right now with no fights this weekend. So with that being said, though, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a blessed rest of you guys Thursday. May God bless you guys all, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you guys all for tuning in once again, and God bless you guys. SchuZ out.